Occupation no more! Israel's a terrorist state! Occupation no more! Israel's a terrorist state! Palestine! 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 I was reading a fiction book a few years ago, and I found the Middle Eastern conflict was the background for the story. So the characters were great, the story was good, but I was just very interested as to why is this happening, what is exactly the events, what happened there, because you know the writer assumed that you already know what's going on, which I did not at the time. It's called Black Sunday, and I read it on a whim. This summer was the first time I started going to protests, actually. When the attack on Gaza started, I wanted to be out in the streets to express, you know, the outrage and the anger at these horrible crimes, really, that the Israeli government is perpetrating. So that's why I went out in the streets every time I could, because I couldn't do it before. I want to do it now. I want to do, if it's little, it's almost nothing, but it's one step above nothing, you know. So if I can go to one protest and be there and add to the numbers, it will make a difference. You know, like the whole world can see, look, you have 100,000 people in the streets. There has to be a reason for that. We're not all crazy. Whether you're European, Middle Eastern, Asian, it doesn't matter. Everybody can relate to human rights and to other people. And that's, I think, that is the appeal of Palestine.
Our problem is because we both been teachers that we meet ex-students all the time who expect us to know who they are. So even when they grow beards and they still think, because they recognise us, they think we should recognise them.
Yeah, but as teachers that we work with,
and we have to adopt techniques to say, oh yes, no, just help me. I do remember.
Being from Europe, not that region, I did not have to deal with it for 70 years. I just got into it now. And the people in Europe and even in the US and South America, they have become more aware of it recently. I mean, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to speak about this issue as you can now. Like, you have protests, you have demonstrations, you have all sorts of events, movie showings. So there's a spread of awareness that's happening at the moment, which is good, it's helping. Maybe it's not enough, because we still have problems, but it's a start. And also, I guess, there's the part where, you know, the West is responsible in a large part for what happens in the Middle East. Because if you go back to history, to the Sykes-Picot Agreement, when after the First World War, Britain and France divided basically the region between the two of them, and that created a lot of problems. Then you had the creation of Israel, that created a lot of problems. And again, that happened because of the Balfour Declaration, because of Britain. So I do feel a sort of sense of responsibility for this. It's late in the game, but it's not too late to fix it. You still have refugees that need to go home. You still have people that need their rights respected. I can empathize. I can think, put myself in other people's shoes. I can do that, but realistically, I can only imagine part of what they must be going through. You know, not to have a country, not to be able to go home to where you were born. It's terrible. So that, to me, it's a matter of human rights at the end of the day. And if I was in their situation, I would want somebody to stand up for me and to help me and to give me some support. From the river, Jordan River, to the Mediterranean Sea, it's Palestine. You have basically, at the moment, because of the Israeli settlements, illegal as they may be, but basically the status quo, what you have on the ground is one state. The only problem that exists at the moment is that in that one state, you don't have equal rights for everybody. It's an apartheid. That's the only issue now. Whether you want to call it Israel or Palestine, that's semantics at the end of the day. I would like to see Palestine on the map. That's why I supported the two-state solution at first, but then I realized that it wasn't feasible. Not anymore because of the settlements, And then because you have the refugees' right of return and they have to come back, and then because you have Palestinian citizens in Israel and they are discriminated against. So something has to be done about that. And what needs to be done is creating one state for everybody.
Occupation no more! Israel's a terror state!
I would love to visit Palestine. I haven't been there yet. And I hear that there are very nice places to eat in Nablus. Very sweet tea and sweet knafe. So I would love to get there someday.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? No! What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? No! What's justice?
I have to give it back. It's not mine. I'm sorry.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? No! What do we want?